Hello and welcome into a beautiful Sunday afternoon version, at least when I'm taping this thing, it is Sunday afternoon. Out here in West Virginia, gorgeous weather today. And we're going to talk today in Tony Talks Trash about Record Store Day and the Record Store Day Black Friday list, which has come out. The list has come out a week or so ago. Had a moment to digest it and look at what, this old geezer's looking for. And, it reminds me of some of the stuff when I'm looking at this, some of these rap artists and stuff. I don't know a lot of this music, and it's just that, everybody, despite trying to be not such, is kind of their age. It's not that I don't appreciate stuff. There's a lot of great stuff going on. A lot of the stuff I hear is very, very innovative and very good. Uh, but anyway, let's go over this Record Store Day list. Again, everybody knows my general gripe about Record Store Day. They keep replacing. We used to trade all these live radio broadcasts and things in digital format, and we've had them for years. And you just slowly but surely see all these dumped on a record as, hey, we've got the Cars thing, or we've got Belinda Carlisle, or we have this and that. All those things have been on. Even some of the old Miles Davis, the old Led Zeppelin stuff, as I was talking about, they were heavily bootleg. Kind of disappointing when some of this stuff, turns out to be the same, almost the same quality as you had before, and it's really hard. And again, that gets to this old geezer's beef about some of these reissues about records that are 50-some years old. You don't get around the science. There's deterioration in 50 years to an analog format, and that things weren't digital until a period of time later. And when they're digital, there were a lot of drawbacks at the beginning of that. But in any event, try to get the original if you can. At least that's my motto. That's when the artists intended, and whether they made a mistake or not, that was a product that they put out. Anyway, let's look at this list. I'm going to go through this. It's a short list this year. It's only 100. I didn't really make any judgment about the quantities. I guess we can try to do this together, but only 158 entries this time. Normally there's over, there's several times that. And so I'm surprised. But we'll go through these pretty quickly here. We have, for the first time that I've ever seen one, we have an Al Jarreau release on Record Store Day, an RSD first. Resonance 2 LP live performance in the Chilled Herald, 1976 live, and only 1,300 released on 1,300 quantity. We have again, what I was just complaining of about the Allman Brothers Band putting out another recording that circulated before Manley Fieldhouse, Syracuse, New York, April 7th, 1972, 3 LPs, 5,000 of those. Releases from Amigo the Devil, Angelo, Bandolamente, Anita, Asking Alexandra, The Black. That's 2 LP, 2,500. That's a first release on vinyl there for the first time. Big Brother and a Holding Company live at the Grand Ballroom, Detroit, 3/2/68. There are some recordings of that legacy recording, 3,500. Hit or miss. I like him somewhat. There's another Bill Evans release live in Kongsberg, 1970, an RSD exclusive, 4,500. They'll sell it out, I'm sure. A Billie Eilish isolated vocals on Hit Me Hard and Soft, which is going to be a kind of a Dark Room Interscope, her own label, 25,000. Talk about a large quantity on that. My God, I'm not sure that would even. That's such a high number. It's hard. That's Record Store Day. I guess you could say you're doing it in connection with it. Anyway, let's keep through the B's. Biohazard's got one out here. Mataleo, Bluey, Bobby Shmurda, Born Jamaicans. Buck Owens got a Tagger by the Tails being reissued by Sundance, 1250. Not that many there. Cat Stevens' live record is going to be Cat Stevens live in Tokyo, Saturday night, 3,500 copies on Island, a single disc. I'm interested in the Cecil Taylor on Org Music 2 LP, Record Store Day exclusive, 1,500 live at the Cafe Montmartre. Now that those can be hit and miss, some of the quality of some of these reissues come. And when Cecil Taylor's kind of a banger anyway, so if there's a lot of need for a good recording for those. Some people say, well, that doesn't make any difference, and I disagree. I think you really, those are the ones where you can really find a lot of definition in. A Charles Tolliver record live at the Captain's Cabin. Again, nothing to do about that. There's two of those, 2 LPs on the Cecil Taylor and the Charles Tolliver. Charlie Patton. I bought the Charlie Patton stuff that was on Third Man. Those are great records. This is the father of Delta Blues selection from Paramount Recordings. This is on Org 2 1400s, all they're doing here. Christopher Cross has got doing a Christmas record, Circa Survive. I don't know who that is. Move on down a couple, Cypress Hill, Daniel Powder. Dead or Alive. Dickie Betts, another live thing that was made the rounds before on tape. Duff McKagan has a new record, but it's a live record, live at Easy Street. I don't think that's been circulated before. 1,200 of those, and then you've got a couple Echo and the Bunnymen, Silver and the Killing Moon 12-inch singles that are coming out, and the Earl Sweatshirt, Feet of Clay, 6,000 on those. That's a recent release. Engine Kid had some Steve Albini sessions, and they've released those as 900 here releases. I see it listed twice. I don't know why it's listed twice. Garbage has something called Copy Paste, BMG 3200. Gaslight Anthem with something new. Gil Scott Heron and Brian Jackson from Africa to South Carolina. And, I don't know why those things are reissued. I, shop a lot in the DC and Baltimore area, and there's plenty of Gil everywhere. I mean, that's not I guess he sold a lot more there, but some of these things, to see them reissued, it's kind of baffling to me, because that's one of the records that I've seen around that. The Brian Jackson records are pretty plentiful around where I've seen. Here's a big one for me. The Grateful Dead. A lot of people think, well, you're a Deadhead, Tony. No, I'm not. I mean, I went to Dead shows. I wouldn't say I'm one of these that's an apologist. Some of the later years, I'm not crazy about. But there is one whole era that I'm really crazy about, and those are the May 1977 shows, where the band seemed to be on a new horizon as far as what they were doing. And this is another one in that series, the series that released Buffalo. This is New Haven 5577, 4 LP exclusive. I definitely want to get my hands on that, 4,500 of those. There's still one of those I don't have. I'd like to trade out for one of those. Move on down. There's a Herbie Hancock record, Possibilities. 3 LPs. I don't know what that is. I think it's probably some kind of a collaboration thing. Can look at that. I'm going to look at that before I decide whether or not I'm going to get that. Another one of the Jazz Sabbath thing, the 68 tapes. Another Jerry from 87. Now, here's a good one. Jesse Ed Davis, the unissued Atco recordings. I think his regular records are kind of underrated. They've kind of fly under the radar, sort of like, in a way, kind of like Cooters did. I mean, it's about the same era, some of the early stuff, and only 1,000 of those Jesse Ed extra ones, though, because it's not well seen. Jane's has one, of course, 12-inch single, I guess, with their fight on stage. Those would probably be sucked up fast. All that did was add to the myth, huh? John Lee Hooker, Don't Turn Me From Your Door, Rhino Atlantic. I'm guessing it's 2000. I guess it's a reissue of an old one. John Trudell, wonderful artist, Indian American artist, Wounded Indians, 600. Only 600 of those. So if you want those, look out for that, man. That's extremely rare. It's one of the lowest numbers I've ever seen put on here. I'm moving on to my second page here. And when we move on to this second page, we first go with Joni Mitchell with the Hejira demos. Of course, one of my favorite records of hers. And there's another Yorma related record. He's done pretty good on Record Store Day regularly anymore. We got 2 LPs on that, unreleased tracks from the 60s, Reno Road, he and Jack Cassidy. So it's kind of like a precursor to Tuna, I guess. Casey Musgrave's record, Julian Lug, Jungle. I'm not hitting everybody. I'm hitting some of these. Lamb of God, Larry Sanders, Leon Russell, Hymns of Christmas on Dark Horse Records, 1,300. Isn't that odd? As it with Dark Horse Records is the interesting thing about it. I love Leon. I'm gonna do maybe something on Leon here soon. I know I'm gonna do something on Don Nick. So Leon's kind of even bigger than that. So kind of jumped over him. MF Doom with a $10,000 release, $10,000 copy release on Record Store Day of Doom Operation Doomsday 25 anniversary. That's all. I'm dropping a lot of those, but I'm sure they're going to sell. Modest Mouse is good. Motley Crue has another thing here, Morphine. Olivia Rodrigo, there's another big one for the masses. There's 30,000 of those, so that's going to be everywhere. It's good that they do these in enough quantity. I remember the first year, whatever Taylor Swift was, I was up at a record store here close to town. I normally go, down to D.C. or somewhere if I leave town. And these girls coming out crying. They'd waited all night long, and there was only like 4 or 5 copies. It's terrible. I'm not laughing. It was just, I'm glad they avoided it. I'm glad they have some for everybody. I mean, there's no need to disappoint people. I mean, it's disappointing enough to have to pay to have to mortgage your house to go to the concert, I suppose. But thank God my kids, I kind of missed that one. So that's good. We saw Green Day instead. But anyway, there's a Phil Collins thing here. Live from the board, official bootleg. It's a 10-inch EP, so it's gonna be short. Rage Against the Machine, the performance in the Democratic Convention of 2000, which should be interesting. Sahib Shahab has a 2 LP org, a Shahib's Jazz Party and After Hours 1250. I have one of his rare records somewhere in my collection. Shahib. Sixpence None the Richer, Slaughter Dogs. Let's move on down to the S of Snoop Doggy Dogg's got something out here. He's got Live at Forest Nashville, not too much. 2,000 of those only, so I guess if you want one, get one. Stone Temple Pilots, Purple Rarities, 3,000. So they have actually a Rarities record off of the Purple record, which is amazing. But they have enough to make an entire album of those. The reissue in Tanks by T-Rex, Tangerine Dream, Alive 75 one, Southern Lord, Lights on a Satellite here, Sun Ra, 1978. The black one is the Sun O release of 1700 on Southern Lord Records. That's what I was speaking of before. And let's get into some different stuff. You got these Beatles singles coming out for the 3-inch. You got All My Love and I Want to Hold Your Hand on come back out on 7-inch. That's a different thing. There's going to be 10,000 of those. And then you've got Live at the Venue 1982, the complete concert of the Blasters, which should be interesting. If you like the Blasters, that should be something I would be interested in for sure. There's this combo Birds Buffalo Springfield thing, and I'm not sure some of the stuff that this put out. Some of those early things that put out, there's a couple companies that are kind of questioning. Here's one of my main ones: a Carl Stallings project from Warner Brothers Cartoons, 1936 to 1958. I had that on CD. It is a fantastic deal, and there's 5,000 of those, and I definitely want one of those. The Doors are continue with the Live Doors, 4 LPs, 5,000 copies of Live in Detroit. A reissue of Special Beat Services, service by the English Beat in the quantity of 3,000. Flamin' Groovy's actually a 1980 show, which is kind of late. That surprises me. San Francisco Center, Liberation Hall, 1,200. The -5, Down with Wilco, 900, which should be interesting. It's only 900 copies of that. Stones putting out 6,400 copies of their next one, like they put out the first one and second one. I haven't really heard a lot of feedback on those pressings now from that. I just wonder how much processing is used with those. I've got some pretty nice, for some reason our area is very plentiful and good copies of Stones records, and I've been able to get, monos of pretty much everything. I'd like to get the box set at one time, but I don't really need to so much for the Decca because I have almost every single one of them. On the London, there was a lot of monos sold around here, of those early ones like December's Children, which is probably my favorite of it, Out of Our Heads and records like that. But anyway, they're issuing Get Your Yah-Yahs out, 6,400. Todd Rundgren's Utopia, 3,500 is going to be a reissue now of that. And I did see that out somewhere in the music made for vinyl, so it's been issued like in a couple different ways. I don't know the difference of that. We probably should know that, but it'd be good. Here's something else exciting for those. I just saw that Beat tour down there with King Crimson. Tony Levin is releasing a record called Bringing It Down. It's a studio record, from my understanding, is 2,800 copies of that. U2 How to Reassemble an Atomic Bomb. I guess rarity's not 20,000 of that. That surprises me there. And it looks like Steven Wilson now has taken over and is so I'm going to list that as Steven Wilson with Ultravox, taking their old record Lament and remixing it again newly. 900 of those and 420. Why there's so few of those? Why would there be so few? I guess Ultravox, maybe there's not a big thing for that, but I don't know why Lament. And they made a lot of other records that were pretty good too. I hope they still have the original masters on those. Van Halen live in Dallas, 91. So you're talking the Van Hagar do 6,000 of those. 2000 of the Elephant 6 Recording Company. And let's go for the last few that we have. There's a Jazz Dispensary record, The Golden Hour, The Souls, songs of Curtis Mayfield, various artists, SpongeBob SquarePants, War with the Vinyl, uh, 5 record set, 77 through 94. So my assuming is that it's a box set from those releasing those records. It's a long period of time, 17 years, but it looks like it's only 5 records. So maybe they just had a few. Now there is a Love Is live from South Africa and more, a Whitney Houston recording on a 12-inch single of 2000 for you Whitney fans. And they continued with the success they did with the Yes, and they followed up. Rhino Atlantic followed up with a Fragiles Outtake record, which is going to be due in a quantity of 3,000. Put the Gun Down, ZZ Ward for Sun Records is the last one. So all in all, a short record store day video here. I want to just tell you, a few things that I was excited about. There are certainly additions to that. There can be cancellations of that or alterations, but this is the first one we've really gone over since we've been here. We kind of arrived right on the edges of the one this summer is when we really started. And I do appreciate everybody here tuning in for this. Let me know what you're excited about Record Store Day, and any of these things that I don't know about that I missed that's pretty interesting. To me, it seems like a pretty pared down list. There seems to be your requisite share of those old radio recording things that were done back in the day that are now put on, were traded on CD that are now they're putting on LP for the first time. And but I mean some of the things are interesting. I'm just not a big. I mean, I like Yes a lot. I'll probably end up getting that, but and that to me is kind of almost like almost a fallacy as to how little there is. But I'm really excited. The two things I definitely want to get are the for myself are that Carl Stallings thing, and I definitely want to get that other Grateful Dead show up there in New Haven when they were smoking in May of 1977. That's a different era for me for the Dead. I'm not a collector of these box sets, many. I have a couple, but I'm really not a big collector of what I'm really a big collector of it. All right, thanks everybody for checking out this thing. It's a short little list as far as Record Store Day. Again, it's the first one. Again, there's a requisite number of these live recordings. There's some interesting things for what you have, but there's really only a couple things I'm interested in. That's the Grateful Dead and the Carl Stallings matter. And I do appreciate you guys tuning in. And we would ask you to subscribe if you could. And please smash the like button for us. It helps out a lot. And we do certainly appreciate you being along for this ride with us today. And we will see you at the record store on Black Friday. Thanks.